again, everyone. I'm Mike Moore, and welcome to another edition of the Commissioner's Report. This is our December year-end edition, and we're going to look back a little bit later in the program at the year of 2015, some of the highlights and the guests, and of course the issues and the topics here with the commissioners on the Commissioner's Report. That's coming up in the second half of the program, but we're going to begin with an interview that Bill Skelton did with Commissioner Todd Dantzler and the President and CEO of Citizens Bank and Trust. Citizens Bank and Trust are almost 100 years old, and they only operate here in Polk County. Family owned and operated with family concerns. Here's that interview.
Thanks, Mike. Joining me today for the Commissioner's Report is District 4 Commissioner Todd Dantzler and Greg Littleton, President and CEO of Citizens Bank and Trust. Greg and Commissioner Dantzler have known each other for many years. In the past 4 or 5 years, they've worked more closely together through their association with the Central Florida Development Council. Mr. Littleton is on the CFDC board, and Commissioner Dantzler serves as the BOCC liaison to the CFDC. Commissioner Dantzler, I understand that you and Greg work with the Central Florida Development Council and other organizations to further economic development throughout the county. How did you gentlemen meet, and what are the common bonds that you guys share personally and professionally that maintains your friendship?
We've known each other for a number of years. We have become much closer friends over the last 5 or 6 years. Greg's leadership at the CFTC level he's been president twice, which I'm not sure if there's been any others that have, but he was some time ago when I first got involved. And as we reformed the CFTC, we were looking for effective leadership that had done it before. And Greg was very gracious and volunteered to do it again after a little bit of arm twisting, not too much.
Not too much.
But you know, we do share that common bond of really striving to help increase the economic development capacity of the county. And by economic development, we mean creating jobs. And that's what our focus is at the CFTC, and that's what his focus is as running one of the great banks and corporate partners that we have here in Polk County.
Right. Now, I understand that Citizens Bank and Trust is the oldest existing bank in Polk County.
That's right. In fact, we're the 4th oldest in the state. We were founded in 1920, and Mr. Lat Maxey founded the bank in Frostproof, and his family still owns the bank today. And the bank has really grown up over the last 15 years or so. We've grown from about 45 million in assets to about 500 million in assets. And we've pretty much covered the county with our office network. There are a few places that we still need to go, but it's really unusual in today's banking environment to have a bank of our size and with our capabilities to still be a family-owned business.
Yeah, I think it's remarkable that your bank expanded a lot in the late 80s and continued to expand during the Great Recession. What can you attribute the success and the ability of Citizens Bank and Trust to grow while other lenders, particularly here in Florida, might have been failing?
I really think it's a combination of a couple of things. First of all, we have the support of our shareholders who stood behind us all through our growth and expansion periods. And the other big thing is we really try to put our customers first. A lot of places will say that customer service is job number one. We try to live that each and every day. And we've put together what I think is a world-class banking team to deliver that service.
And Greg's very humble, but a lot of it's happened under his leadership since he's been at the helm there as well. And anyone that observes it knows that he's been a driving force of that as well. And he talks about customer service. I'm a customer of their bank and have great customer service with Tiffany and Bonnie and Robert and everyone that I deal with on a regular basis. They give us fantastic service.
Well, having read his bio, it appears to me that you had a pretty quick rise through the ranks at Community Bank and Trust. Can you give us a little bit of your professional history?
Sure. I spent 8 years with Barnett Bank. That was right out of college. And in 1997, I came to Citizens Bank, and that's really when we started our expansion. I started our Lake Wales operation. That went very well. So later that same year, we went up to Haines City. And then from there, it's really been kind of a snowball of the growth over the past 10 years or so. But Lake Wales was our first expansion outside of Frostproof.
Now, you have 12 locations currently in Polk County. Any plans to expand further or open other locations?
We do. It won't be under the rapid expansion plan that we had over the past several years, but as I said, there are some spots in the county that we still need to get to. In fact, we've got a location in South Lakeland that we intend to expand to in the near future.
Now, it seems that retail banking is growing online with internet-based services. What is Citizens Bank and Trust doing online, and what do you see as the future of community banking, as well as with the traditional storefront banking?
We've made a real investment in our online presence over the past several years. We've got a mobile banking product for both consumers and for business that, in my opinion, is as good as anywhere that you can get. We've also just implemented over the past few months the mobile check deposit that lets you take a picture of the check with your camera and deposit it remotely. So I really feel like that our technology has kept up with everyone around us, including the big banks.
Yeah, so those things, those innovations that you've brought to bear here locally provides you an opportunity to compete with the regional or the national banks.
That's exactly right. They really don't have anything to offer in that foray that we can't offer ourselves.
Well, let's kind of get back to economic development. Commissioner Dantzler, what do you see as the role of community banking in promoting and sustaining economic development here and elsewhere?
I think they take the lead on just being part of the community. You know, one way that we're really trying to grow in the direction that we're going with the CFTC is through small business growth and creation. You know, it's great if you can bring an Amazon to town, but you know, that's a grand slam. You don't hit a grand slam every time. We're looking to hit a bunch of singles. The relationships that local community banks have through not only their leadership in the organization like Greg, but just in making loans to start up businesses, to other community partners that we're involved with is just phenomenal. And a large part of our strength at the CFTC is the strength of our business associates and business partners, and Citizens Bank is certainly one of our leading ones.
Mr. Littleton, what's the small business lending atmosphere like now?
It's really pretty good. In fact, we made, and this encompasses all types of loans, but we originated over $60 million in loans last year. And our economic development impact is also in our payroll. We have over $8.5 million in payroll annually. And unlike a lot of institutions, that's all here in Polk County. So as Todd mentioned, we really try to support our communities. And that's through involvement in civic clubs and chambers and economic development associations and what have you. But we also believe that there's another approach, and that is supporting our communities and having healthy communities. And we do that with a lot of various sponsorships. We'll spend over $250,000 annually in supporting local community. And I think that goes a long way in economic development. You need to have a healthy community before you can really go out and look to do economic development.
I mean, when you look at sponsorships of different events of the nonprofits that are around, you're more than likely going to find a community bank, and probably it's going to be Citizens is going to be one of them, if not the main one. So what they give back to our county and the citizens of our county is just phenomenal, and it's hard to quantitatively measure it, but it's just it's a wonderful thing what they do for us.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's exponential as well. Now, I understand that your bank and your staff makes donations to organizations and schools throughout the county. You donate your time as well. And I noticed a lot of your sponsorship was with schools throughout the county. Are there specific organizations within the school or specific causes in the Polk County schools that you guys are helping to sponsor?
We are we're pretty active in the mentor programs throughout different schools across the county. But really anything to do with education or health are things that we look to really have active participation in. One of the things that we're really involved in every year is the Heart Walk, and we've done that for a number of years. I think we were the #2 team as far as fundraisers this year, and have been for the past several years, either #1 or #2.
And it's not just Greg, it's the people that work at his bank. I mean, the people, he's multiplied by...
We have 150 employees.
150. And they're out in the community, different leadership, chambers, what have you.
This number sounds, to me, when we first put it together, sounds unbelievable, but our 150 employees for the past 4 or 5 years have logged over 10,000 hours in community service every single year.
I'm not going to do the math, but I'm sure that's a pretty
sizable
contribution. Now, I guess this culture of giving and support for the community probably goes back to the family-owned roots of the bank, and we all know that Polk County is a very charitable place, so it doesn't surprise me that given the family roots, and especially your roots in Frostproof, that your staff and that your bank are big givers to the community. So, but let's get back again to the economic development and the quality of life here in Polk County. I know that you both have participation, membership, and leadership in professional service and charitable organizations. How do you see business and local governments kind of partnering to enhance the quality of life here in Polk County? And I'll start with you, Commissioner Dantzler.
Well, the public sector couldn't do it without the private sector. There's got to be that relationship. The public sector, the public side certainly has a responsibility and a part to play, but the private side is one who really drives it. That being said, there are a phenomenal number of county employees, city employees who are just as charitable with their time as the folks at Citizens and the other places through Rotary clubs, Kiwanis clubs, Lions clubs, the different organizations. So I think that the relationship that the private side enjoys with the public continually needs to be strengthened, and it needs to be appreciated, and to know that they couldn't do what they do without some of our assistance, and that we couldn't do what we do certainly without their assistance.
Sure, and I'm sure you would agree that, obviously government can't do everything, so there has to be that role with private.
Nor should they.
Nor should they. Agreed. And so there has to be that role with private business that in some respects takes up the slack. And of course, the same people that work for Polk County government are the same people that staff your bank.
Sure.
I'm sure, you probably have staff at Citizens Bank and Trust who has family that works for the county and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So, and again, we all know that Polk County is a very charitable giving place. So it stands to reason that you would get that giving on both sides, on the public side with the government as well as the private side. And given that Commissioner Dantzler realizes the importance of the role in giving on the private side, how do you see Citizens Bank and Trust moving forward, continuing to contribute to the welfare of Polk County?
I think the key to the success of the CFTC all these years has been the relationship between the public and the private side, and it really has been our pleasure to be involved in some of the forward momentum that the CFTC has enjoyed over the years. We don't plan to back off from that in any way. These are exciting times for the CFTC, and we're happy to continue to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you've talked before about the success of the ad valorem tax exemption program, mm-hmm. and the big businesses that it's brought to Polk County. Now, from the Citizens Bank and Trust, you're lending to smaller businesses that probably in reality probably employ collectively more people than a lot of these big major corporations that we've been able to attract to Polk County. So I can see where that community banking, that private business lending is essential to the success of Polk County, as well as programs like the ad valorem tax exemption.
Absolutely, and when a big company comes to Polk County, it's good for all of us. Those employees are going to need somewhere to bank. They're going to need mortgages to buy homes. Their spouse may come work for us or work for a small business that is a customer of ours. So it really is good for everybody.
Sure, that attraction of big business brings you more customers as more people move into the county to work for these businesses.
Well, these are new jobs. These are not just jobs being transferred from somewhere else when you see these big ones. So this is now 1,000 new people that have a job that can now take their family out to dinner or buy a new pair of shoes, or when they go to dinner, they tip their waitress, so the waitress can then go buy a pair of shoes or a new set of tires. So it is amazing how it really just flows.
It's all related.
Right.
Yeah, obviously it helps the folks that are already here, and it attracts people to move here because, through the work with the CFTC and through Citizens Bank and Trust, and certainly through the county government, Polk County continues to grow. I think, we're attracting people. We're raising the bar locally, and I think the future is bright. Certainly appreciate both of you gentlemen joining us. Mr. Littleton, thanks again.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Bill.
Commissioner Dantzler.
Appreciate it.
Hope I passed the audition. And before I leave, we'd like to thank Mike Moore for his efforts on behalf of the Communications Division and PGTV. Mike's done a fantastic job, and we wish him success and lots of luck in his new endeavors.
All right, thanks, Bill, and good job there with Commissioner Dantzler and his guest. All right, now we want to move forward by looking back at 2015. A lot of highlights with our commissioners. We visited a lot of places here in Polk County. We're going to start with the chairman. He was the chairman in 2015, Commissioner George Lindsay. We talked about a lot of subjects, some of them including pedestrian safety, getting citizens involved in determining where sidewalks need to be placed. We also talked about the importance of water preservation. Swift Mud's Danny Kirshmer was here about a big long-range plan. But safe haven for newborns, another very important issue to Commissioner Lindsay's heart, and that's where we begin with our look back with Commissioner George Lindsay.
In Florida, those unable or unwilling to care for their baby of up to 7 days old may leave the baby with an employee at any hospital or fire rescue station. The baby will then be placed for adoption. The process is completely safe and anonymous for the parent and the child. In addition to this law, Safe Haven is here to help pregnant women before they reach the crisis stage. Call Safe Haven if you are pregnant or think you are pregnant and don't know what to do. If you are hiding your pregnancy or know someone who is, or if you are pregnant and are not receiving medical care. A Safe Haven for newborns is here for you.
1990s era, there was, for whatever reason, perhaps epidemic is an overstatement, but there was a series of events where young ladies were leaving their newborns abandoned in horrible conditions, in dumpsters on the side of the road, just a horrible situation. And through the help of some folks, passed legislation that effectively said, if you will bring your newborn child to either an emergency room or a manned fire station, there'd be no questions asked, just turn the child in and make that positive life choice. And since that program has passed and the legislature made it a statewide law allowing that to occur, it has spread to other states in varying forms. Statewide since that time, I think there's about 225 kids have been dropped off in a safe fashion. Unfortunately, there's about 54 that were left in not a safe fashion.
Right.
I think our experience in Polk County during that intervening period has been about 5 kids were dropped off safely and 3 not so. But even if you say, well, 5 is not a lot in the years since 2000, 1 is enough.
Right.
And to have the program available is a blessing.
Commissioner Melanie Bell, we never took the show out of the studio, but we took the show on the road, so to speak, as we visited the cities in her district. We visited the city of Frostproof, Fort Meade, Mulberry, and Bartow. We got a chance to meet some exciting people on set with either mayors or city managers, but I got a chance to meet some really exciting people in the cities, including in Fort Meade, which is Commissioner Bell's hometown. I got a chance to meet a dynamite lady named Lita Wright, who shares some history and passion of Fort Meade. Fort Meade is located near the Peace River in the southwest corner of Polk County. It's a quiet town with nearly 6,000 residents. Lita Wright has lived in Fort Meade all her life. She raised her family here. Now she's raising awareness of her city's past.
So we had 2 Indian chiefs right here way before Fort Meade ever got started.
The city was settled in 1849 near the banks of the Peace River and named after Lieutenant George Meade, who crossed the river at nearly the same location where the bridge on US 98 is located today.
We had a good football team back then.
Sports have always been important in this area, and now native son Andrew Mccutchen is expanding Fort Meade's spotlight.
How they look upon Andrew, they look upon him as a hometown hero, someone that helped put Fort Meade on a national map.
While Andrew has moved on to the major leagues with the Pittsburgh Pirates, his parents have remained in Fort Meade.
It's where my roots are, and I was excited to be able to do Fort Meade here. You know, as you know, I've served on the City Commission for 14 years and as mayor's son before I moved on to County Commission. And Fort Meade is just a town where we talked about it earlier, that everybody knows each other and everybody cares.
We raised our family there, have 4 children, and I kind of echo what Melanie said there. The neat thing about Fort Meade is that we're far enough away from things, but we're close enough. We had a vision and kind of just a thought about 5 years ago to do something with our recreational park that is currently there and expand it. And it's called the Fort Meade Outpost Camp or Park. and it's an equestrian center also, which is kind of the tie.
I mean, this is a very big, ambitious project with equestrian is a big part of this, and equestrian activities are huge all over the state of Florida, in central part of the state of the Florida, and to have an equestrian center, and I guess eventually at some point there's going to be resorts, a hotel there, and an RV facility.
This is one of the projects of the 4 that we're looking at to fund, and it's already been approved by the Tourist Development Council. Now we're going to be having a joint workshop with the commissioners so that we can come to a plan for all 4 projects.
Commissioner Ed Smith, we didn't get him out of the studio, but we also kind of visited some of his community. We got a chance to visit the Inwood community, showing how they're improving roads and sidewalks in that area. Also in Lake Alfred, we got a chance to see what's going on there in that dynamite city for over 100 years. But Katie Yoxel from Keep Polk County Beautiful, she visited us on set, and she quizzed both Commissioner Smith and myself on how much do we know about recycling.
Number one, it cleans up our areas. We need to do that primarily. The second thing is, you know, we have, regardless of what we think, we have limited space in our landfills. We can't just keep landfilling and landfilling and landfilling. We've got to do something with this material. The smart thing to do, of course, is to reuse it or to recycle it, and that's what we're all about here. And I'm sure Katie has a lot more information than I have on that, but it is so important that we do that.
We can recycle almost 70% of what we throw in the garbage, and then an additional 10% of that can be composted if you decide to compost and garden and all of that. So we're actually really throwing away a majority of recyclables that could go in the recycling bin so that we can reduce the amount that we actually landfill.
These are all made, Katie, from recycled material.
Yes, all of it's made from recycled materials.
The biggest benefit of keeping Polk County clean and beautiful, and I've said this so many times, it restores community pride, and that's what it's all about. People love a nice, clean community. You know, they might not know how to do it or how to get rid of some of this stuff that accumulates.
Right.
And but when we come out there, and the real beauty of Katie's organization, I've said this so many times before, is it's primarily manned by volunteers.
Cardboard. I think we all know.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty easy one.
Yeah, that's easy.
We can recycle that one.
We're going to recycle that.
I think you recycle glass, even though we were having a discussion earlier. I don't know what the benefits are, but we don't throw it in the trash. Am I right?
That's right. We definitely want to always recycle our glass if possible. We don't want to landfill it. We definitely want to recycle it. It doesn't matter if it's blue, green, pink, purple, orange. It doesn't matter. Recycle it. Because it takes over 1 million years for glass to actually naturally break down into the environment. In fact, we don't really know if it will at that point. It'll always keep its form unless broken.
Wow.
So make sure that we recycle it and put it back to better use.
So nobody's taken it through the whole period to see if it takes that long.
You know, I'm not sure if anybody's made it through the 1 million years, but...
Commissioner John Hall is now the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners for 2016. In 2015, he was vice chairman. And in the year, we visited a couple of important topics. We talked about impact fees and the importance of tourism here in Polk County. We also talked about flooding because we are facing an El Nino winter, what the county and what we all should be doing to be prepared. But we took the show on the road one time with Commissioner Hall and visited perhaps one of the most iconic spots now here in Polk County, Florida Polytechnic University.
Now we're in the main building on campus, and it is a fantastic view and a fantastic building. We've had a great year, you know, of all the reports that I've had, and Chris can add to those items, but it's been just a fantastic year here at Poly, and looking forward to the second one.
554 students in our inaugural class, which is small for a university, but a lot for us to welcome, going from nothing to 554. And we're getting ready to welcome about 550 more. So we're going to effectively double our student population this coming year.
Going to keep our best and brightest minds right here in Polk County. Now we have some that are coming from outside, obviously, and that's great. They want a good quality education. But when we can train and keep our people here, and this is going to be the catalyst for a lot of the high-tech jobs that we're, you know, hoping to actually get to come in here. You know, we're hoping that we can convince them that we have a trained workforce, and this is the catalyst for that.
you know, when you look at economic impact, everyone is they want immediate results, and perhaps there are some, but imagine though long-term results economically with people, students getting educated here and staying here with those kind of technology jobs that are here now and are coming. That's the long-term economic impact I know you're excited about.
We gave students a course in design thinking, and we gave them some goals for coming up with our mascot. It had to be appealing to a certain audience. It had to really fit the university's mission.
The louvers, the things that move up and down, they kind of look like those phoenix wings, I guess, right? Is that what we're...
It is, and that actually inspired the team who came up with the phoenix. They were inspired by the louvers rising all at once, and we tried to work that into the design too. So if you look at the actual design of the phoenix, it's got 4 feathers on each side that symbolize STEM and our 4 values, but they also look like the louvers of the building rising up.
Is going to be huge for our economic impact going into the future, and for those people in our public that can see that and want to get involved, we ask that they contribute right now so that we can take advantage of this $1 million.
So this is a $1 million match. You'll match up to $1 million, all the perhaps little donations that people are making. So if someone's interested in doing that, how do they do that, Crystal?
They can email advancements@flpoly.org, or they can call 863-874-8417.
Earlier in the program, you got a chance to hear from Commissioner Todd Dantzler, and earlier in the year, we actually got a chance to go out in the community. We got a chance to visit downtown Winter Haven. Bud Strang gave us a kind of like a literal tour of all the redevelopment work there in downtown Winter Haven. We also got a chance to go to the Winter Haven Women's Hospital and their other facility and meet the chairman and CEO, Steve Neerman. A lot of great work going on in Winter Haven.
This hospital has delivered quality health care to the east side of the county since the early 20s, I guess. I was born at Winter Haven Hospital, and where our executive offices are now. I had my tonsils taken out there. I was just commenting to Sid this morning as we were going upstairs together. And it creates jobs, but it creates health care, and it creates health. And any community that happens to have a hospital is lucky. And we are a community hospital, not for profit, so we take anybody and everybody. And I think that's important, especially for our demographics and our makeup.
Well, Winter Haven Hospital has 2 hospitals, or 2 campuses, and this is the Women's Hospital for women's services, and then the main larger campus is just a mile and a half up the street in Winter Haven. We're happy to have a women's hospital. It's one of very few women's hospitals in the state, and it's just focused on women's health. So we deliver babies at this hospital. There's women's surgery, and there's women's imaging services as well. So it's very focused on women's health. And the Board of Trustees approved a strategic plan to really invest in the hospital, both from a construction aesthetic standpoint, but also from a technology standpoint.
Now, recently you had a ribbon cutting, not for all the Women's Center, but more for the specific, I guess, the breast center?
Women's Breast and Imaging Center, and we're excited because not only is it a dedicated imaging center just for women, but we've also brought a new technology to the area, which is called 3-dimensional mammography. And technically, tomosynthesis is the term, but when you incorporate 3-dimensional technology into breast imaging, the radiologists are able to better identify cancerous tumors in women. And so that's exciting. And the Winter Haven Hospital Foundation raised the money with the Lewis Family Cancer Foundation to provide that technology to the hospital in our community.
Well, that's going to do it for another edition, our December edition of the Commissioner's Report. Really our year-end review. 2015 went by so quickly. 2016 probably is going to go by just as quickly as well. I also want to say thank you for allowing me to host this show. I am moving on to other things in another county, but I've enjoyed meeting everyone here and enjoyed meeting the commissioners as well. Until next time, take care, everyone.